Hey, good morning, folks. MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive Morning Weather Update. Hopefully you are doing well. We're going to talk a lot about winter weather. Consistent winter weather is going to be here. And we normally say, well, yeah, we know that. It's the last 2 weeks of January coming up, early February. But I mean, you got to admit that in the recent decade or so, sometimes winter's let up and been pretty mild. Not going to be the case this time. So what do we have here first off? Let's just go over the big picture. We don't see a big, widespread, statewide, crippling snowstorm, a 10-incher from Detroit to Traverse City. We don't see that in the next week, I better say, because I'll show you some details on next weekend coming up. But we do see consistent cold. I'm thinking that most of Lower Michigan may not reach the freezing mark for 2 weeks. Possibly just one little blip on one day next week ahead of that next storm system that I'm going to talk about. We do have an Alberta Clipper coming in tonight, tomorrow. Kind of disorganized. The east side of the state, a much different pattern than the west side of the state, because the east side will just get the 1 to 3 inch Alberta Clipper type snow. That's a dry snow. It does blow around. And then the west side will get the Alberta Clipper snow with heavy lake effect. And then Arctic plunge on the way as we go into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I guess it is what it is. If you're not really strong on hardcore winter weather, what it is that you're going to have it for the next month. And of course, when it breaks sometime in February, then the sunshine is a little stronger and we could have some 35s. And it's always amazing to me that 35 sometime in late February feels extremely warm, and then 35 in late March feels like the coldest air of the season. Our bodies adjust. Hey, so here's the radar. Let's get started here. Let's say hi to some folks. 3 inches in Sterling Heights, says Larry. Yeah, a little bit of a oddity of a thin band of 4 to 6 inches of snow through Ann Arbor into a part of Oakland County yesterday. So, hey, good morning, everybody. All right, so the radar, so the lake effect is really minimizing now, still kind of going in the eastern part of the thumb. Also, there's still a band hitting the very southwest corner of Lower Michigan, but otherwise, generally dry, although certainly icy conditions around. All right, now radar forecast shows you the Alberta Clipper heading our way. Again, not a major accumulation amount for many of us, but in the combo area, Alberta Clipper and lake effect, there will be heavy lake effect snow or heavy accumulation. So this is today. This is this afternoon and this evening, and it's mostly dry other than decorative flurries. This is midnight tonight. Here comes the snow developing. And what happens here overnight tonight on a southwest wind, you get a heavy band right along the shoreline, South Haven to Muskegon to Ludington to Manistee. And this one has the potential to come into the west side of Grand Rapids. So don't be surprised in west of Grand Rapids if you wake up tomorrow morning and there's some additional inches of snow. This is 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So you got the light snow in the eastern part of the state. You've got the Alberta Clipper snow kind of building. By the time we get to noon tomorrow, it's showing that potentially everywhere in Lower Michigan could have a light, steady snow coming down. And there you see that heavier band of lake effect along the shoreline, South Haven to Muskegon to Ludington to maybe Manistee. That's on a southwest wind. Then we go into the afternoon tomorrow, And we continue just with off and on snow. Tomorrow is going to be a slick day. The roads are cold. Be a little bit milder tomorrow with the storm system, but it will be a slick day to travel. If you could travel today, you're probably better. This is Saturday morning, going to the west wind, and then the lake effect takes over. Alberta Clipper snow dies off. Okay, so here's the snow for the rest of today through 6 o'clock. Very southwest corner, still several more inches of snow. That's about a 20, 30, 40-mile drive on I-94 that gets very snowy. Along the western shoreline, 1 to 3 inches. Eastern part of the thumb, an inch or 2. Then we go into tomorrow. So by noon tomorrow, the Alberta Clipper could put 1 or 2 inches down across all of lower Michigan, starting to pick up the band on the shoreline. You see that. Now, this is tomorrow afternoon, and a lot going on here. A little bit of a southwesterly event can come from Kalamazoo and stretch up into the center of the state toward Alma for another inch or 2. Now, let's just run it out to Saturday morning. We'll call this Alberta Clipper, I think we call it 2 to 4 inches for everybody. It's going to be a lot of common 2 and 3 inches. And then, of course, along the shoreline, Frankfort, Manistee, Ludington, Pentwater, Muskegon, Holland maybe. Looking at 6 to 10 inches total by Saturday morning. Going to be very snowy. And northern lower Michigan, you get the general enhancement, and we'll call it 4 to 8 inches of fluffiness. And of course the UP, you're socked in with snow too, 3 to 8 inches. Okay, so what we know then now is that we are going to get treacherous travels tomorrow. Saturday is going to be off and on snow showers, and the roads coming up are going to be all cumulative of all of the snow that comes on them, and it gets packed down and forms into little ice layers. So in other words, we're not going to get any help from melting for quite a while. We're going to have to rely on temperatures coming up late next week and salt going to work. You're going to have some treacherous travels, is what I'm telling you, for the next week or two. It's not just a one-day type thing. Wait it out, and roads will be better. Best you're going to do is when it's dry. So here is the forecast out the next couple of days. Here comes our Alberta Clipper. Okay. And this is Friday. Just a general circulation, not a real wind-blown Alberta Clipper. This is Saturday. This is midday Saturday. You got snow showers rambling around all of Michigan. This is Sunday morning. You got snow showers again. Some of these places where it seems like the snow is just never going to end in the next couple days will have a substantial, it'll be fluff, but it'll be 8 to 12 inches. This is Sunday night. The polar vortex and the surface reflection of a surface low over Lake Superior is getting ready to send the next Arctic surge our way. And same model, but we're just going out a little bit longer here. And here's your Saturday. Looks the same because it's the same model. Here's your Sunday. This is Sunday night, and this is Monday. This is Monday morning. Remember my rule of thumb. For every isobar, that's the black squiggly line that's in lower Michigan, you get a 5-mile-an-hour gust in an estimation. So we'll start. I'll start in the southwest corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That would come up with a 50-mile-an-hour gust. I think that's pretty strong, but you're looking at 35 to 40-mile-an-hour gusts Monday, and snow is fallen, and that probably could be near blizzard conditions, very sneaky near blizzard conditions. in the absence of a major snowstorm, it'll be more like a Michigan blizzard. I might coin it that. So then here's Tuesday. We're still in the lake effect. Here is Wednesday. Here comes the next Alberta Clipper Arctic front. More snow. Are you getting the idea? Then late next week, we start to transition to a little bit of a southwesterly flow, and you'll notice a difference in the storm systems, like the one coming up this following weekend. Now, this run keeps it to our south, which often does happen. Once the cold air gets entrenched, once the Arctic air takes over Michigan, we miss a couple of storms until the Arctic air lets up, and then the storms come back, and that's probably late January or early February. This would be next weekend. You see the storms taking more of a southwest to northeast, moisture-laden thing, and you don't see any rain anywhere, so we are cold. All right, here is I'm just going to run this out for the next 10 days. Now, I want to explain what I'm showing you here. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is the European model. It's a good model. It's total snowfall, and I'm showing you the ensemble of the European. That means they tweak the beginning and they run it like 51 times and then average all those together. In the long term, it's not a great forecast because it misses highs and lows, but it's a good general. Are you going to be snowy? Not going to be snowy? So the numbers you see are kind of just like this is the general snow that we could have over the next 2 weeks. And you'll see that Michigan is quite snowy. So this would run out to, out to January 30th. And, what it's saying is that the east side of the state, without the big lake effect, could have anywhere between 6 and 10 inches over the next 15 days. And that's really not too crazy out of line. It's probably about close to normal. West side of the state, 10 to 20 inches of snow. And that's pretty heavy, but certainly in cold air and all that we have going on, certainly is plausible. All right, now the ugly part. Let's look at the temperatures. These are the low temperature forecasts. Yeah, I got the long sleeve shirt on this morning. So tomorrow morning, as the clouds come in, that usually keeps us a little milder. Let's just say it keeps us above zero. And Saturday too. And Sunday will still be cloudy, snow showery. And then by Monday, the cold air starts to come in. We could have temperatures several degrees below zero in a lot of places. Tuesday morning looks like the coldest morning, maybe Wednesday morning. Sometimes the third morning is the coldest. So, but Tuesday morning we could certainly be anywhere from a couple of degrees below zero to 15 degrees below zero. Wednesday, this model wants to bounce back up to single digits, and then Thursday, cold single digits. Next Friday, as that storm system approaches, and then something like that can bring down the next wave of Arctic air. I'm going to talk to my buddy, Dr. Judah Cohn, today. He tracks the polar vortex and the cold air masses. And, he's seeing this too. So that's next weekend. And we run this out to January 29th. And guess what? There isn't any warm air anywhere in sight. One last thing I'll leave you with. Hey, let me join you back here. So now we're going to look at the upper airflow, about 15,000 feet up, of the European model, ensemble mode, so 50 averages. We're going to see if we can see any sort of pattern change developing a couple weeks out. We've had this winter, warm to cold to warm. We're thinking now there isn't going to be a short-term warm. We're probably in it for about a month, and that's why I want to show you this, start to show you this European model. I apologize. This is not the ensemble. So this is Saturday. This is Sunday. Look what happens. These lobes drop down. This is the height of the Arctic air on Tuesday. Shifts off a little bit. You moderate. Remember, I told you we're watching late next week for a little bit different of a flow. Now, I want to say something. This is next Friday. Even though this shows the orange, you might think, oh, okay, we're going to have a nice warm-up. Remember, this is 15,000 feet up, and when you get into Arctic air, that's stubborn, and it's low to the ground. So this actually signifies warm air riding up over Arctic air, and that's a storm, a very messy storm situation that we'll have to watch for late next week or the weekend. And as that pushes by, then we get another lobe perhaps of the Arctic air. So the best I can do is tell you that, prepare yourself. Sometimes you go like, wow, July really flew by. Life was doing stuff, and August really flew by. So prepare yourself 1 month, and if you're ice fisherman, ice fisherwoman, snowmobiler, skier, go for it, because we don't get this all the time, but we are definitely going to get it. I will keep you updated. I think this is a treacherous pattern developing for willy-nilly travel. So you're going to want to stay with me. You're going to want to, follow things 5 days in advance. So in other words, if you have a skedaddling out of Michigan plan next Saturday morning, you're going to want to watch me all week, Monday, Tuesday. You may want to move it up to Friday, because if we get into that messier pattern, it could be a 2 or 3 day period before the roads get almost acceptable. So that's just my word of warning. You know me over the years. Over the last, let's see, how long have I been in Michigan? I've been in Michigan 25 years? Let's see. Or 35 years. 35 years. Yeah. Ooh. 35 years I've been in Michigan. So I'm not an alarmist. But when I start to see these patterns where the snow doesn't ever melt off the roads, then I know the sides get icy, and then it creeps in, and then, so it could get kind of messy. Be careful, stay updated, and remember, snow and ice always melts at some point. So we'll go with that. Take care. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. MLive.com/weather is where all of my posts go. And I will say that a lot of them are behind the paywall now. And, I'm seeing some interesting articles around the country, and I click on it, and it's behind a paywall. It's the media model. Because the advertisers are so scattered. There's so many places for them to go. It's a subscription model. MLive and the parent companies told us that they're very stable and sustainable. They're not making money hand over fist. There is no media company that is making money hand over fist. So you don't have to worry about that. We're just trying to do good enough, well enough that we can expand and improve our services all around. So, sorry, a little bit of a rant for those of you that stuck with me. Take care.